Hello everyone, welcome back to the Nürburgring, day 2 of our Ferrari Racing Days weekend here in the Eifel region of Germany. This is round 6 of our 2024 Ferrari Challenge calendar. And what a testing track this is for our drivers. Weather conditions here at the Nürburgring, well, absolutely fantastic, and not dissimilar to when these photographs were taken, in that the sun is shining, which is far from always a given here. It has been a magnificent season, which kicked off in Mugello, then we went to Balaton, then Jerez. At Portimao, Le Castellet, here we are at the Nürburgring, and all roads leading to Emilia-Romagna region of Italy for the Finale Mondiale at Imola between the 16th and the 20th of October. So this is the track then, 5.1 kilometers, 15 turns, 6 left, 9 right, because we use the GP configuration of the Nürburgring. There are many configurations of the Nürburgring. The GP is certainly one of my favorites. 2 pinch points to look out for. Turn number 1 as you run down into that turn from the start, finish straight, and then also the chicane almost at the end of the lap. Track temperature 31 degrees, air temperature 19 degrees, and just a little bit of wind around, and as you can see, some harmless high cloud as well. So here we can see the cars lining up on the grid, ready for their 30-minute race plus 1 lap for Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli AM. Now, for the Pirelli drivers, they run with a red strip across the top of the windscreen. That makes it easy for you to identify them. And for our Pirelli AM drivers, they have a white strip across the top of the windscreen. Federico Alrifai, who you saw there momentarily, was the best of the drivers from qualifying on Friday, and he put the car on pole position within class. As we look at the car of Angelo Fontana right now, and Angelo Fontana doing a good job in qualifying, and in class goes from P4 for the Rosso Corsa team with a lap time of 1:59.162. Going from pole position for the Pirelli drivers will be Giacomo Altoe, but we look at Andreas Berg Sorensen right now, talented young driver who we met for the first time at the Winter Challenge a couple of seasons ago, and he has proved to be something of a talent, Andreas Berg Sorensen. We'll see how he goes in this race, and how do you master the Nürburgring?
Hey guys, my name is Ludwig, 35 years old, driving for Metal Motorsport in the Trofeo Pirelli series. I'm really looking forward to my home race, and now come and join me on a lap around the legendary Nürburgring racetrack. Hey guys, welcome at the Nürburgring. For me, one of the most spectacular racetracks in the world, and definitely the most legendary. I will tell you something about the track. So, turn 1. We have a long straight, 270 kilometers per hour, and then we decelerate to 60 or 70 kilometers per hour, second gear. Acceleration again, second corner, third corner, very tight ones, very technical ones. But then we are coming back to the old traditional track from turn 5 to the end. And this is for me the best part. So second sector and third sector. And especially the third sector is amazing because we have a very technical chicane and left and right hand high yellow sausages, big curbs, and we go over it completely and the cars are up in the air, and this is really spectacular. So guys, this is my home race, a very special moment for me to race here, and keep the fingers crossed. I want to win this race.
Luca Ludwig did that in race 1. Can he repeat the feat in race 2? He goes from P2 on the grid. Now, this is one of our challengers in the Trofeo Pirelli AM Championship, the number 92 car, which is driven by Hendrik Viol. This is Hanno Laskowski, also a relatively home race for Hanno, who resides in Berlin. He goes from P10 on the grid for ML Fry Racing with his lap time of 1:59.601. So Hanno Laskowski then, final stages of preparation for him as he gets ready for this race. So inside the cars, you can see just as the drivers in their final stages of preparation, just contemplating everything that waits them and is ahead of them. And we take a look now at further cars, including Philippe Baron and lots and lots of drivers like this one. Max Mugelli, who's been around a long time and continues to compete in Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli for CDP Eureka competition. Delighted to welcome alongside me Ferrari ambassador, driver, Tony Villander. You've done more than a few laps of this Nürburgring track and it never fails to disappoint. It's a brilliant circuit, isn't it, Tony?
Yeah, this is a great track. Technical one. Some of the parts, like you mentioned, turn one into the race start itself is the one that takes your attention. We saw some action already yesterday happening at turn one. Overall, I definitely agree with Luca Ludwig. His track insert, the second and the third sectors are my favorite, especially the one in the middle. A good flow, high speed, fast corners. You need to have good driving skills, but also well set up race car.
Thank you, Tony. He will be bringing us his driver insight during the course of the race. For me, the favourite part is the chicane, where the drivers just seem to take so much of that curb. And I mean, Tony, with all due respect, you're a winning racing driver. You're quite an aggressive racing driver. I mean, it's really something, isn't it, throwing those cars through those sausage curves?
Yeah, it's true. You need to be quite aggressive on those curbs. You can gain some lap time. We saw the onboard lap with the rain tires, but even in those conditions, you have to use them because it helps you to rotate the car. It helps you to do a shorter line. And yeah, one part of a very fast lap here is to use the curbs.
Thank you so much. Tony Villander, as I say, he will be bringing us his insight during the course of the race. Now, Luca Ludwig, he's got to go from P2 on the grid. He won the first Trofeo Pirelli race here and did it in fine style. Giacomo Altoe, very sensible driving from him, just banking the points, knowing that he's in a very good position in terms of the Drivers' Championship. However, Luca Ludwig, on his home track, really wants to make it 2 out of 2 if he can. This is another talented young driver, Ben Svalint, Ferrari Budapest Rosso Corsa. His father still racing as well, but not in this particular race. Ben Svalint is the young star that we're talking about right now, and he is going from P4 on the grid within category. So after this, then, it's all roads leading to Italy for the Finale Mondiale. What an event that will be. Plenty going on just behind them as we head into turn number 1. Something of a pinch point. Max Mugelli trying to make a move early on. Very, very good start, I believe, as we go through turn number 1 right now. Himself through into P2 because he's got the inside line. And I can tell you the tickets are on sale now for Finale Mondiale. It is an epic event, and I urge you to consider attending because it is something really, really special. Particularly in a year like this year where the Ferrari Challenge racing has been so good. And of course, the Le Mans victory with the hypercar. It's so much celebration. It will be. Never ceases to amaze me. You come away from one Finale Mondiale and think they can never make it better than this. And then every single year, Ferrari make the celebration at the end of the year, Tony, even bigger and even better.
Yeah, I think that's the name of the game. These Ferrari racing weekends, they become bigger and bigger. More street cars on showroom, more drivers on track, in challenge, Apex X, Club PT. So these are getting impressive, and the finals are getting out of control. They're so huge. I think the Imola paddock is the biggest thing.
The biggest problem.
Biggest problem because we cannot fit anymore.
Right, the cars are released then on their formation lap. Always a rolling start in the Ferrari Challenge. We'll bring you the grid in full. The Richard Mille safety car leading the cars away. Do, if you can, get tickets for Finale Mondiale. Going from P24 is Armin Arifpour alongside is Otto Blank going from P23. Then we see Matthias Domen and David Akabadze, their P22 and P21 completing row 11. Then it's Herbert Geiss and Axel Sardingen, their P20 and P19. James Owen and Hanno Laskowski are P18 and P17 completing the 9th row. Michael Verhagen and Andrew Morrow go from P16 and P15 with Marco Sanassi and Andreas Berg Sorensen going from P14 and 13. Danilo Del Favero and Angelo Fontana are on the 6th row of the grid before we get to our Pirelli drivers Luigi Coluccio and Dylan Medler who go from P10 and P9. Klaus Sebranson, best of the Pirelli AM drivers, goes from P8 and Max Mugelli goes from P7. Hendrik Viol goes from P6. I beg your pardon, he was the best in qualifying. And you can see there that Federico Alrifi actually bettered him, and he is the best of the AM drivers. But going from pole position is Giacomo Altoe, Luca Ludwig going from P2. So it's going to be very, very interesting going into turn number 1. So Giacomo Altoe champing at the bit, ready to get going, weaving from side to side, trying to drive some temperature into those Pirelli tyres. And right now, let's hear from the driver that put it on pole position for race 2.
So after a tricky quali this morning, finally we got another pole position, so I'm really happy about that. It was not easy for sure because the track conditions were changing, but we could put everything together and we are on pole for race 2, so really good.
Well done, Giacomo Altoe, driving for the Emil Frey racing team, and he achieving yet another Rotiform pole position award, which is so coveted by our Ferrari Challenge drivers. And of course, it gives him the most advantageous grid position as well. It's really interesting as we ride on board with the Richard Mille safety car. You can see the harmless high cloud, and we're running down the back of the track now. I always call this the back straight. Now, there is a kink in the middle of it. There is a turn in the middle of the back straight. It's called turn 12, but Tony Verlander, it is taken full chat flat, isn't it? You know, you're flat out through there before heavy braking for that chicane.
Yeah, the important thing is the corner we see now is the exit here, because like you said, let's call it back straight, is so long. You are so long time full throttle, so the exit has a huge importance. Also for a good lap time. One thing regarding the race start itself. So I've been this weekend in the race direction giving my advice or my opinion on things. So the race control and the marshals are checking the start. So you have so-called grid boxes.
Yes.
The rows needs to go through those grid boxes, and before the lights go off, you're not allowed to move. At least 2 tires needs to be inside those grid boxes, and as soon as the lights go off, you can change the line, and we are off in racing. Also, the speed need to be between 75 to 90 kilometers per hour, and they have a telemetry to monitor that as well.
So race control, check that to make sure that you do it right. You're absolutely right. You've got to pass through your grid boxes, you've got to maintain a speed, and they, as you say, have the telemetry to make sure you do that. And if you don't, the race start will be under investigation. You could pick up a penalty. We've seen those delivered this weekend. We throw the lights to the top of the screen. When the lights go out, we will be racing. Here they go then. It looked like it was a very good start from Luca Ludwig. Giacomo Altoe tucking in behind Luca Ludwig as they all head towards turn number 1. It's always a pinch point. It's something of a funnel. Hendrik Viol coming around the outside. We go almost 4 abreast into turn number 1. If all the cars make it through turn number 1, I will be delighted, and indeed they did. So great driving from all of our Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers as they get through turn 1 into turn number 2 now. Can't afford to run too far to the outside. Luca Ludwig then doing what he needed to do right at the start of the race. It was a very good start from Benz Valent as well, who's put himself up into P3. That's relegated Philip Barron, but Luca Ludwig leading from Giacomo Altoe, who is P2. Benz Valent is P3. Then it's Philip Barron. Now, Federico Alrifi making his debut in the Ferrari Challenge this weekend, leading in terms of Trofeo Pirelli AM as the drivers continue to settle down. Marco Zanassi behind Axel Sardingen, you can see there. The order on the left-hand side of your screen as Luca Ludwig will try and stretch his legs, as he did in race 1 yesterday. But this time around, I think Giacomo Altoe is a wee bit closer to him. Of course, Luka Ludwig's intimate knowledge of the Nürburgring has got to be worth something, and he proved that going into turn number 1, Tony.
Yeah, great start, great reaction from Luka Ludwig. Started from P2. There was a contact between Altoe, who's now running in P2, into turn 1, but no major drama in it. Overall, really great and clean start. And like you said, yesterday what I've noticed is Luka Ludwig really knows this racetrack. I could see his racing lines, the way he was making the car rotate even better using the inside curve and everything. It was really good. We had Giacomo Altoe charging yesterday. He had the fastest lap of the race, but then it wasn't enough. The gap was almost 4 seconds. So now it's interesting to see these two drivers were way faster than the others yesterday.
Yes, let's see if they do break away. We're right on board right now with Giacomo Altoe. You can see the back end of the Luka Ludwig car as we come down the start-finish straight into turn number 1 for the second time of asking in this race. Giacomo Altoe just taking a look at the inside. He's not quite close enough to be able to do anything, but he is certainly keeping Luka Ludwig on his mettle here, because he is right behind him as they head into turn number 2 now. Little bit of a window opened up there on the inside line, but Luka Ludwig able to cover it. Loving this onboard shot here as we ride on board with Giacomo Altoe running in P2, trying very, very hard to unsettle Luka Ludwig ahead of him, taking just a little bit of the curb, and now we head down, and it is a downhill stretch now. And let's move the picture to what Luka Ludwig sees on his rear view screen, because that is the Giacomo Altoe car. We've got the telemetry from Luka Ludwig as well. 3rd gear, 4th gear, 165 kilometers per hour. And make that 225, 230. I mean, really, really building the speed is Luka Ludwig, as Giacomo Altoe sticking with him here. And Giacomo Altoe would love to be able to take at least one win out of his weekend here at the Nürburgring. The S is now where you have to be brave on the curbs, but be smooth, super smooth as well, to carry as much speed as possible. And that's precisely what both Ludwig and Altoe do. And as Tony Villander mentioned, Luka Ludwig, with his intimate knowledge of every single centimetre of tarmac on this Nürburgring circuit, certainly using his advantage very, very well. He's beginning to stretch away now. Last time around, 4 tenths between P1 and P2. And the incident involving cars 8 and 2 in turn 1 was noted, and you picked up on that. It was the little contact that Giacomo received, Tony.
Yeah, it was in the braking area, so it's a bit tricky to judge where to brake at the start of the race. You have cold tires, and you're still building up the grip on your race tires. Also, this moment in the race is quite critical for Giacomo Altoe, who is in P2. So he has some more entry speed, more rotation with his race car, but you're also using your tires more. He's following another car very closely, so you losing a little bit of aero balance also in high-speed corners. So his overtaking maneuver should come now. If he waits too long with the tire wear, is tricky.
Let's see it again then in replay. This was the start of the race as they all headed into turn number 1.
Beautiful pictures.
Yeah, they are great pictures, aren't they? And, well, Giacomo Altoe then with Benz Valent, and that was where Benz just made contact with Giacomo Altoe. Hendrik Viol trying to come around the outside of Philippe Baron, which didn't pay off for him. And what I have noticed here at the Nürburgring is, over many, many years of being here, Tony, turn number 1, there is more than one line that you can use.
Yeah, it is true. The tight line gives you need to slow the car more. Here again, from the aero shot, we can see the contact between the leading 2 cars. So, like we see, you can go almost 4 wide. If you want to use the very tight line, you need to stop the car way more. So that creates issues with the cars closing by. So like we can see from these images, the intention to brake late is very high, and then to misjudge is very easy. And we see pieces of carbon fiber up in the air, and it's tight. Going tight through the turn 1 is very tight.
I describe it as a funnel, and I don't think I'm wrong. Whoa!
Yeah, that was the contact.
He held it well, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He did. Good car control.
So well done to the Mertel Motorsport driver for holding on to that. And as you can see, he's increased his margin just a little bit, but Giacomo Altoe is staying with him. And you're right to make the point, Tony. It must be really, really difficult as a racing driver to run in the air behind that car. You've got to get that done, otherwise you're taking so much out.
Yeah, exactly. And the demonstration of the skill level of these 2 drivers, yesterday I could see that they're really taking this new challenge car, 296, into its limits. and they really know how to take the most out of the race car. It's difficult to say which one of these two is stronger today, and it's also quite difficult to overtake, because if you need to cover that inside line a bit, you still don't lose a lot of lap time. So great battle for the race lead.
And Giacomo Altoe is quite clearly a really talented young racing driver, and more we're seeing so many young talented drivers using the Ferrari Challengers, a springboard to all sorts of other driving, whether that be GT or endurance or whatever. And Luca Ludwig, as he mentioned, 35 years of age, but by Jiminy, he can still pedal a car, that's for sure. But Giacomo Altoe is not letting him get away. But the question is where and when he can make a move on Luca Ludwig, because Luca knows where to cover it off. Giacomo is the quicker driver at the moment, but Giacomo has got to find a way by. Luca had built it up, the margin, to almost 7 tenths between P1 and P2, but now it's down to just 4 tenths as Giacomo Altoe continuing to hound Luca Ludwig. So we ride on board. Great onboard shot on this 296 Challenge car, and Luca's in strife. I thought I saw Giacomo go through, but I thought the picture had broken. Luca Ludwig has got a problem, Tony.
Is it because of the contact on the first corner? Something broke down on the race car and he's really slowing down.
So that, yes.
Because the rear left is the side where he had the contact at the start, where Giacomo Altoe touched him under braking, but so far he was for these 8 minutes of racing, he was able to continue normally, and then suddenly just slow down.
Well, that's disaster, and this is where I thought the picture broke. And is that panel work rubbing against the tyre, Tony?
Yeah, something is going on there, because there was like a blue smoke, like you said, maybe a tire touching somewhere. I cannot see if he has a flat tire. There's a little bit of smoke.
That's where I thought the picture had broken. But actually, it hadn't broken at all, and it was Giacomo Altoe going through. Tell you what, Giacomo had to have his wits about him then to turn.
Yeah, quick reactions, but also big drama for Luca Ludwig, who, like we saw earlier before the race start, this is his home race. He did really well yesterday. He had a great start. There was a little bit of contact, so let's see if it was caused by the touch from the rear he had at the start.
Okay, so that's changed the face of the Trofeo Pirelli race, because Giacomo Altoe now is leading Ben Svalint, who is P2, Philip Barron is P3, then it is Max Mugelli running in P4. So Giacomo Altoe then, in the end, didn't have to try and find a way past Luca Ludwig. It was gifted to him. And in the live championship, as you can see, if everything were to finish right now, Giacomo Altoe would be on 160 points, Ben Svalint would be on 121, having vaulted Philip Barron in the points championship. So we'll see how it holds out. Philip Barron desperately needs to get past Ben Svalin to keep his championship alive, that's for sure. Let's take a look, Tony. So this is going to be the contact again. Oh, that was, yeah. And actually, the reason Benz touched the back end of Giacomo Altoe was as a consequence of Giacomo Altoe touching Luca Ludwig. That was the save that we saw from the onboard shot when Luca had to use the opposite lock to control the car.
Yeah, it's very tricky at the start, like we mentioned earlier. It's very tricky to judge the braking point, and maybe Luca as well just wanted to make sure he covered that inside line. And I'm not saying he braked too early, but he just wanted to make sure that he's not gonna overshoot the corner. And the other cars behind him, 3 side by side, they had the pressure to really brake late, and that created the contact. And it may be.
Can I put you on the spot, Tony? And I hate doing this, but you have been in race control. Will they look at that, or will they just consider that to be a racing incident?
No, we had similar starts earlier this weekend where there is contacts. I mean, going 3 to 4 cars side by side into braking into turn 1, where from 5th, 6th, or 7th gear you go down to 1st or 2nd gear at the start. So the acceleration zone creates itself a hazard, so it becomes very tricky to judge. And we had to look every contact individually and see what was the consequence and how severe was the contact. But it's difficult to judge, because race start is the one of the areas of the racing where all the cars are close to each other, and it's very difficult to say that, you know, this deserves a 5 second, 10 seconds or drive-through penalty. So it's not an easy task at all.
Okay, thank you for that, Tony. Federico Alrifai is leading for the Pirelli AM drivers with Hendrik Viol P2 for the Pirelli AM drivers. Now, critically, Klaus Branson, who of course is a championship leader in the Pirelli AM drivers, is running P6 at the moment. We are looking at the number 13 car right now of Luigi Coluccio, a Radici Automobili driver, and he is running P5 in class. So the class is all mixed up here. I remind you, the Pirelli drivers with the red strip across the top of the windscreen, the AM drivers with the white strip across the top of the windscreen. Now, what Federico Alrifai is trying to do here is get by Luigi Coluccio, because that would give him even more of a cushion as he attacks Max Mugelli. I beg your pardon, he's already got past Luigi Coluccio, but if he could get by Max Mugelli as well, that would give him 2 Pirelli drivers between himself and then the next challenging Pirelli AM driver, which is Hendrik Viol. So we'll see if he can do that. I mean, he set the fastest lap, so there's no question about it. In class, Federico Alrifai is quick. Fastest lap for the Pirelli drivers comes from Giacomo Altoe. No surprise there, clear track ahead of him. And under pressure now is Ben Svalin from the old campaigner, Philip Barron. I say that with my tongue firmly in my cheek, because Philip is not an old man at all, but he's certainly been racing a long time and long associated with the Ferrari Challenge. And Philip Barron is chasing down Ben Svalin now, who is a younger driver and another one of the young drivers in the Ferrari Challenge. But he's got the man that we call the headmaster right behind him, because Philip Barron has done so much in the Ferrari Challenge. And he's won every T-shirt there is to win and has worn it out, I would suggest, as he picked up a little bit of dust there, running a bit wide, but Philip knows where to position the car. Will he be able to find a way past Ben Svalint? Only time will tell. Meantime, Giacomo Altoe has stretched his legs very nearly to 4 seconds between himself and these two. And of course, there is a very disappointed Mertel Motorsport driver, Luca Ludwig. That's a horrible feeling, isn't it, Tony?
Yeah, it is. Disappointment. You feel a bit empty, because he drove a very good start. He drove a very good opening laps. And then for a technical failure to have a DNF, which we can find out later what was the real cause. But anyway, like I said, when it wasn't a driver error, you sort of feel like you couldn't have done much different.
Well, Hendrik Viol and Federico Alrifai in the AMs are together now. We're watching Ben Svalin and Philip Barron, who are P2 and P3 in the Trofeo Pirelli race, but he's hotting up in the Pirelli AM race as well, because Hendrik Viol is on the back end of Federico Alrifai, so we'll see how that plays out. Meantime, what can Philip Barron do now? Going into turn number 1, I don't think he's quite close enough to look at the inside line, which Ben Svalin covers off to a degree anyway, but Philip was not close enough anyhow. And there is inside the Barron Motorsport team. And this is Fontana on the outside of, may have been Angelo Fontana on the outside of Dylan Medler. Dylan Medler, a Trofeo Pirelli driver. And the incident involving car 69 of 4 in turn number 1 is under investigation. That was different to the incident we saw earlier on. Now, this is the Pirelli AM battle for the lead in the Pirelli AM race. Federico Alrifai, who is new into the Ferrari Challenge, is leading at the moment, but Hendrik Viol, who is a challenger in the championship, is running in P2. Quite clearly, P1 would be better for him. Klaus Branson is running P4. So we'll be taking a look at the mathematics with regards to the championship points. Hendrik Viol knows what he needs to do is bank as many points as possible and be as far up the order as he can. Well, he's running in P2 at the moment with Angelo Fontana, a very good P3. But Federico Alrifai, and we saw his pace in race 1 yesterday, he is currently leading the Pirelli AM races. Ben Svalint continues to defend from Philip Barron. Is it possible, Tony, can you run lap after lap after lap, or are you better off just actually taking a lap or two just to cool everything down, including yourself as a driver, before having another go?
Yeah, there's two things. You need to keep the pressure on, which may cause another driver to do a mistake.
Yes.
But the other thing is, you need to judge behind the wheel that how much you're using your tires, how much you're losing grip, and then it may cause you problems towards the towards the end of the race. But yeah, the ideal thing would be catch a driver and overtake him as soon as you can. Following closely, like we see now, Baron and Valente is not the ideal way. But like I said, also the pressure needs to stay on and to see if there's a mistake from another driver. Interestingly,
Philip Baron has had a track limits warning as well, so he's pushing it, isn't he? He's using every centimetre of tarmac plus some. He's got to be careful of that.
Yeah, track limits is the thing. I think you can have three.
Yes.
3 warnings, and then you will have time added on your final time. So teams will advise the driver always that be careful, you're getting warning, and at 3 it's better you stop. It's better you lift.
Oh, drive-through penalty for Andrew Morrow, car number 4, for causing a collision. So Andrew Morrow then in car number 4, the Charles Hurst driver, gets a drive-through penalty. I think it's fair to say, I think that's Andrew Morrow's first ever drive-through penalty. I mean, he is a very, very good young driver, Tony, who clinched the championship in the UK and has come to race in Europe, and it's his first full European season. He's been really, really enjoying it in Pirelli Am, but he's picked up a drive-through penalty for causing a collision. So Andrew Morrow then having to come through the pit lane, and that's going to take him out of his P8 position. Right, this is Philip Baron then, who now is a little bit further back from Bens Valent than he was previously. Giacomo Altoe is 6.5 seconds to the good up front, and then it's Bens Valent and Philip Baron. Now for the AM drivers, Federico Alrifai and Hendrik Viol remain about 6/10 apart, so it's very, very close in terms of the lead for the Pirelli AM drivers. But for P2 at the moment in Trofeo Pirelli, Philip Baron continuing to try and keep the pressure on Bens Valent. What's impressive here, Tony, is that Bens is a very young driver. He hasn't yielded to that pressure. Thus far, he's not made a mistake.
Yeah, both drivers, I think that they're lapping almost identical lap times because the gap lap after lap looks the same. Baron has some pace. He has maybe a little bit more speed in his car because he's able to follow Ben so closely. But let's see how it goes. We have a little bit more than 10 minutes left, plus the 1 lap in this race, and the pressure is still on.
Here comes Andrew Morrow then to take his drive-through penalty. So the Charles Hurst driver, that's going to drop him back down the order. I think I saw the Andreas Berg Sorensen car coming into the pit lane as well. Now, in terms of the Live Drivers' Championship for Trofeo Pirelli, on this basis, Giacomo Altoe would have 160 points if the race were to conclude right now. Of course, Giacomo Altoe is leading the race by the tune of some 8 seconds, as near as makes no difference, as Andrew Morrow returns back out onto the track once again. So, the order, the top 3 for Trofeo Pirelli, it's Altoe, Valent and Baron. For the AM drivers, it's Alrifai, Viol and Angelo Montana. And there is 6/10 between Federico Alrifai and Hendrik Viol in the AM race. And there's very little between Bens Valent and Philip Baron. About 5/10, I would suggest, between the cars that are P2 and P3 in Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli. Right, now Hendrik Viol is getting... he's getting left in the wake a little bit. I would have expected him to be a bit closer. It's easy for me to say. All I do is talk about it. I don't have to drive these cars like these wonderful racing drivers. But there is Hendrik Viol. Max Mugelli and Luigi Coluccio are the 2 drivers that are ahead of Federico Alrifai and Hendrik Viol. So that's the driver that's leading the Trofeo Pirelli AM race. He's not been able to get by Max Mugelli and have that as something of a cushion. But equally, Hendrik Viol is not getting as close as I thought he might. I think the gap has increased a little bit. Philip Baron taking a look at a different line into turn number 1 this time around to see if he can make a move on Bens Valent, but he couldn't.
Yeah, it gives me an idea that almost Philip Baron is closer than he's been before, and trying to learn the racing lines from car ahead of him and which would be the place to try to overtake if there is a chance to do it. So like on the last time into turn 1, he was really braking late. Car had more movement, and he's really using those brakes to see what's the chances that his car is giving into him, but also regarding the racing lines where he could do the overtaking.
Thanks, Tony. You can see the speeds that the drivers are generating with these wonderful Ferrari Challenge 296 cars then, and introduced this year into the Ferrari Challenge, and by some margin, every driver loving these 296 Challenge cars. And you can see there, as you were just pointing out, Tony, on the dashboard, that we can see on that Giacomo Altoe car.
Yeah, I can see the predicted lap time, so he's realistically updating each corner, each moment, and I think it must be compared to his quali lap. So he's around 2.3 seconds lower on this race lap right now than his fastest lap time of the weekend, I assume. So this is information for driver, like when you are fine-tuning your driving with the new tires and things like that. So used in the right way, a live predicted lap time on the dash of the car gives the driver an advice and confirmation that the things you are doing behind the wheel are really working and you are doing a good lap time. But too much focus on a predicted lap time, and if the skill level is not enough, can take you to wrong places very quickly.
You have to juggle a lot of balls as a racing driver, don't you, Tony?
Sometimes we even cover that predicted, just to make sure that the driver concentrates on the main thing, which is driving the car.
Right. Philip Barron is concentrating on trying to muscle his way past Ben Svalin. And lap after lap, I mean, I'm really impressed with these two drivers, because Philip Barron has pushed and pushed and pushed. And Ben Svalin, to my knowledge, has not made 1/10 of a mistake, and that has denied Philip Barron. As a racing driver, Philip, I suspect, I mean, he's hard, he's aggressive, he knows how to pedal a racing car. There's no question about that. It's a joy to watch, actually, but Ben's has soaked up like a sponge all the pressure that has come from Philip Barron, and you can see Philip, he's just itching. He's just picking up a bit of dust there. He's doing everything he can, and whoa, that was a big dive to the inside of Max Mugelli from Luigi Coluccio. Talking of physicality, that was physical, but it worked, and he's gone through. So there you can see the reactions inside the garage then, as Philip Barron continues to run behind Ben Svalin, as he's done for lap after lap after lap. So Ben's doing a great job in defending, and Philip doing a great job in attacking, but he hasn't quite made it work yet. Am I fair to say it's going to be when, not if, Tony? Because he, you know, there is always the risk, though, that Philip will overdrive the car.
Yeah, it is true. You can see that he definitely has a lot of confidence, because he's taking the car, he's using the car very hard under braking, it's moving, maybe a little bit of a lack of platform on the race car, but then at the same time there's areas on track where he seems to be a lot faster. He's suddenly closing, like the chicane we saw now. It looks like Barron has a lot more speed, and if we compare their lap times, the drivers in P2 and P3, they are around almost 2 seconds lower than the leading car. So I think Barron, like I said before, has more speed. He just needs to find out and decide. Like right now, he would need to dive inside and risk a little bit, but maybe as a team owner as well, maybe he needs to save those mirrors as well. So let's see what happens here.
Well, he is like an ill-fitting shirt all over the back of Ben Svalin right now. And oh, is he? He's trying to make that gap, a 296 challenge wide. Of course, the inside quickly becomes the outside, and vice versa. And Philip Barron trying to do everything that he can. Ben Svalin is, I suspect, really, really looking at the rear-view screen as well to try and make sure he covers the line that Philip Barron is trying to use. This is brilliant stuff. For P2 in the Trofeo Pirelli race, we've got merely 5 minutes plus 1 lap of this race remaining. For these drivers, A, to be able to defend for this length of time, and B, to be able to attack for this length of time. They have run so close together for virtually the entire race. It's been remarkable. And credit to both of them. I just wonder now whether Philip has just taken so much out of his tyres that so we can see further on down the order as Hanno Laskowski losing out there to Danilo Del Favero, I believe the Penske Sportwagen driver has gone through on Hanno Laskowski, who tries to come back at him there, as you can see. And what that's done, that's just opened up the door to Axel Sartingen. And then, unfortunately, Hanno Laskowski is collected by the Michael Verhagen car, and that's strewn some debris across the track as well. And meantime, Philip Barron is not giving up on anything, whether his tyres are more worn than Ben Svalin's or not.
now it's also to the experience of the team. Now, what a driver would like to hear is turn 7, full of debris, full of carbon fiber pieces. So there's a big chance to get a cut on your racing tire if you go over these carbon pieces. So I think we see this is earlier. This is turn 5, side by side. A little bit of contact.
And that was Danilo going through.
Whoa.
A little bit of contact.
Yeah, we can see some damage on the front of the car as well. And this thing maybe continued
Yes, yes, it
to
did.
the turn 7.
And this is where
He lost the control of the car, and the other car trying to avoid and just turned the car to the right, and spinning, he hit the other car, and we see damage.
yeah, I mean, to be fair to Mikael Verhagen, kind of where could he go? You know, you can only apply the maximum steering lock, but that's Giacomo Altoe, and you mentioned that, Tony. That's the information you want to be fed by your coach or your team, is to say, around this turn, there is debris, be careful.
Yeah, exactly, and the images cut the exit of turn 7 to our race leader, and I think he just ran over those car parts, carbon fiber, I believe, on track, and that's not ideal.
Okay, well, Giacomo Altoe's got 2.5 minutes plus 1 lap, and we can see inside the Emil Frey Racing Garage right now. We've, of course, got a yellow flag at turn 8, and that is for the stricken car, Mikael Verhagen, I would suggest. So into the chicane. Well, Giacomo is certainly rolling the car across those curbs there. He's got past the, I think that's the back marking Armin Arafpour car. So Giacomo Altoe. And this is Hendrik Viol running across the gravel and grass in his quest to chase Federico Alrifai.
This is very typical for Nürburgring, so you're using a lot of curbs. Oh, he just lost the control of the car, and he already had the damage from before.
That's Mikael Verhagen, yes, you're right.
He had the damage from turn 7 and was trying too much. So typical for Nürburgring, you are using a lot of curbs, but like we saw in a couple of the images, you just go a little bit over and it bites you hard.
Well, he's managing to get the car to safety. Whilst all that has been going on, this storyline has not really changed very much, Tony Villander. It is Philip Barron chasing Benz Valint.
Yeah, now the situation has changed. It's now or never, because we are running out of time. And
Mikael. Now,
this is not ideal.
No, Mikael is still running the car with various loose bits on the back end, as you can see. Now, this is Axel Sardigan hauling in Danilo Del Favero. That's our leader in the Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers, Federico Alrifai. Hendrik Viol is some distance behind him now, so I think that Hendrik Viol's best opportunity to get past Federico Alrifai has probably gone away. Giacomo Altoe leading from Benz Valint and Philip Barron for Trofeo Pirelli. For Pirelli AM, it is Federico Alrifai. You can see center picture right now ahead of Hendrik Viol and then Angelo Fontana running in P3, and I'm pretty confident that that would be Angelo Fontana's second podium this season. Klaus Branson, if it all finished now, would be on 148 points over 122 of Hendrik Viol. We are keeping our eye on the point situation because we're reaching the sharp end of the championship. And I think Hendrik Viol's good P2 finish keeps him in the mix. Philip Barron, has he done it? No, Tony, and he decides to mow the lawn for the Nürburgring Caretaking Association.
Yeah, this is the thing. For almost 30 minutes, he was following very closely the P2 driver, so you lose a little bit of visibility on the track, but you also lose grip on your tires. So, like we're on the final lap, and that what we saw just happened on the previous lap. So let's see if Barron can re-catch up, and there will be something that he can do differently.
Great to see so many spectators here enjoying the Ferrari Racing Days event, of which the Ferrari Challenge is, of course, a huge, huge part. We ride on board with Giacomo Altoe. The two fastest laps in the race have come from the two drivers that are P1 in the race. Giacomo Altoe for Emil Frey Racing for our Trofeo Pirelli drivers, for our Pirelli AM drivers, for Rosso Corsa, Federico Alrifai. So, Giacomo then thankfully, running over the debris didn't cause him a problem, and he's able to continue unabated. Now there,
Yeah, he was really slowing
he was more
down.
cautious, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
he was really slowing down into turn 7, just trying to avoid everything extra that is on the track surface right now, and just making sure that he has no issues.
So Giacomo Altoe then, and we split the screen so that you can see inside the Emil Frey Racing Garage as well. Giacomo Altoe leading for Trofeo Pirelli. For Pirelli Am, it is Federico Alrifai, and Philip Barron remains behind Ben Svalint for P2 and P3 for our Trofeo Pirelli driver. So the chicane for one more time for Giacomo Altoe. He approaches it now, and he goes through, and there he is, Giacomo Altoe. Philip Barron has not given up on his quest to get by Ben Svalint, but he's not found a way yet. Well, Giacomo Altoe goes through the final turn and heads towards the checkered flag, which he receives. He takes the win for Trofeo Pirelli and Emil Frey Racing. Tony Verlander, big thank you to you. I know you've got to head off because it might be trophy presentation duties, as Philip Barron does everything he can, including pushing Ben Svalint around the final turn, but he was not able to find a way by. So it's P2 and P3 as they were. And it remains P1 and P2, Federico Alrifai and Hendrik Viol in the Trofeo Pirelli Am drivers. And Federico heads towards the line, and he takes the checkered flag ahead of Hendrik Viol, and it will be Angelo Fontana taking his second podium of the season. Once again, big thank you to Tony Verlander, who, as I say, might be on trophy presentation duties, and that's why he's legged it. Wow, that was a race with plenty going on. Altoe, Valint, Barron, Coluccio, Mugelli, the top 5 for Trofeo Pirelli. The top 5 for the Am drivers is Alrifai, Viol, Fontana, Klaus Sabranson, Danilo Del Fabro. Now, the reason for the donuts from Giacomo Altoe is because he has clinched the championship. For Trofeo Pirelli, he has done it. That win is enough for him to have sealed the championship in Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli. Joining me now as a impersonator of Tony Verlander is Nico Spalak. That was a race. You'd kept your eye on all the point configurations. Giacomo Altoe has done enough. Klaus Branson has not.
Not yet, no, indeed. This championship title race will go all the way to Imola, but as you can see on screen and on graphics, Trofeo Pirelli champion 2024, Giacomo Altoe. Indeed, he's done it, and he has done it with a great performance. You and Tony have already discussed all the incident at the start, but after that he didn't look back. And in fairness, even from a P2 position, he would have had enough of a cushion over everybody else. So that was not the decisive moment, the difference between P1 and P2.
It's fantastic when you see young drivers like Giacomo Altoe come into the Ferrari Challenge, and bearing in mind Giacomo Altoe missed the opening round in Mugello. You know, for him to have sealed the championship with 2 races still to go, having missed the first 2 races, just proves what a young talent Giacomo Altoe is, and he is the Trofeo Pirelli champion. Big well done to Federico Alrifai for taking the win for our Pirelli Am drivers. Well done to him. So Giacomo Altoe has had a remarkable season, and he is the champion in Trofeo Pirelli. Philip Barron, well, he did absolutely everything he could to get on terms and get by Ben Svalint. In the end, he was denied, but he's lost none of his racing prowess, you know. Interesting. Listening to what Philip was saying, I suspect there may have been 1 or 2 colourful words in that as well, because no one is a bigger critic of himself than Philip Barron. Here's Ben Svalint then jumping out of the car. He's taken P2. He's congratulated by Andrea, their team boss of Rosso Corsa Ferrari Budapest. Well, so much going on in that race, that's for sure. It was a job to keep up with it all, Nico.
Yeah, definitely, and I thought you did really well together with Tony, and indeed, there is the t-shirts are sprinted, broken out, the teams will celebrate, and finally...
That always worries me when they do that. Jean-Luc Darrier down there to congratulate him as well, another fine young racing driver who actually filled in for Giacomo at the first round and drove in the first two races. Giacomo Altoe then, he's such a charming, humble young man as well. And atop the car, steady on, Brent, well done, Giacomo Altoe. Trofeo Pirelli champion for 2024.
Well done, sir. And the celebrations with the team, obviously it is a team effort. And the ML4 racing team, indeed very successful. Just a TTM winner yesterday.
Yes, indeed.
With obviously also with Ferrari, and here are the results.
Let's give them to you in full then. Giacomo Altoe taking the win, sealing the championship. Then Ben Svelin, Philip Barron, Luigi Coluccio, Max Mugelli. Now the top three for the AM drivers: Federico Alrifai, Hendrik Viol, and Angelo Fontana with his second podium of the season. Well done, Angelo. They were ahead of Dylan Medler, Klaus Branson, Danilo Del Favaro, Axel Sardigan, Herbert Geiss, Marco Zanassi, and James Owen. And they were ahead of Andrew Morrow, bearing in mind he had to return from a drive-through penalty, then Matthias Thoman, and then it was Otto Blank, David Akabadzi, Armin Arifpour, Mikael Verhagen, and Hanno Laskowski. Regrettably, non-finishes for Andreas Berg Sorensen and Luka Ludwig. Let's celebrate the champion!
Congratulations, just one thing, you are a Trofeo Pirelli champion.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it feels amazing to win with once per weekend, let's say, without Imola, so really good job from the whole team. It was an amazing project, and for sure I'm looking forward to Imola now, to try, of course, to win again, but what a season so far.
Can you show your shirt and the work with your team?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you to the team. Really nice present, and now it's time to have a party.
Thank you, Giacomo. Congratulations again.
I have to say, I wouldn't want to be the person responsible for having to order the shirts, because you're a bit reluctant in a way because you don't want to jinx it, but well, they made the right decision, didn't they?
When you've got a weekend to spare to do it, you probably feel a little bit safer. When it comes down to the final race, well, you will get nervous eventually, and well, no need for that. There's a slow car on the track, but that doesn't have to worry us. There's just some remnants of the action that we saw unfold.
Federico, congratulations, your first win here in Nürburgring. As you said on Friday, my goal for this weekend is the podium, but I think that you made more than the podium.
Yeah, it was a great race. I had a good battle with the people around me, especially the guy also second in Pro-Am. Overall, yeah, I'm really happy with the result.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great to hear from Federico Alrifai. Here are the highlights of Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli, race 2 of the weekend as the car's headed into turn number 1. We can see a little bit of contact between Giacomo Altoe and Luka Ludwig into turn 1, as very nearly 4 abreast as they go through turn number 1. Luka Ludwig leading from Giacomo Altoe. Ben Svelin trying to go around the outside but was unable to do so. And Philip Barron also tried to make moves very early on in the race. So for Luka Ludwig, the early contact was going to be a disaster for him because the car that went through was this man, Giacomo Altoe. And there you could see the retirement for Luka Ludwig. Giacomo Altoe leading, and there were lots of moves going on here, and one on Max Mugelli, which did pay off. It was pretty physical, and so was this between Hanno Laskowski and Danilo Del Favaro, and then it would continue, and Hanno Laskowski right in the mix here, and unfortunately you can see being collected there by the car of Mikael Verhagen, who got kind of nowhere to go really. That caused Michael all sorts of problems in terms of controlling the car. and he found contact with the barriers. In the end, it would be Giacomo Altoe that would not only win the race, but win the Trofeo Pirelli Championship. And for the Pirelli AM drivers, it would be Federico Alrifai to take the win. And then Ben Svalin P2, Philippe Baron P3. But once again, Giacomo Altoe had done enough to seal the Trofeo Pirelli Championship. So he was pretty happy about that. Race statistics, there they are for you to absorb as much as you would like. Best progress came from Ivan Velasco Sanchez. Look, up 22. Mark. Total overtakes in Trofeo Pirelli AM, 42. Oh. Wow, those are the statistics across both Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli AM. To the podium next, Michele Mambelli will be bringing the drivers out to have their celebrations. Taking P3, Philippe Baron, he's on his way right now. Ben Svalin takes P2. And taking the winner and the champion, Giacomo Altoe. And there, we came, we won. National anthem time.
Applausi per I vincitori.
Grand applauso for Giacomo Altoe.
Racing team manager for you guys.
Emil Frey represented, of course, on the podium as well for the Copa Team Award.
Tony Villander, Ferrari ambassador.
Tony Villander, who was on the air with us just a few moments ago, Ferrari ambassador driver, making the P3 trophy presentation to Philippe Baron.
The trophy for the second driver on the podium.
For Ben Svalin, he receives the P2 trophy from Tony.
And the trophy for the winner, the champion,
Giacomo Altoe, in receipt of the race winner's trophy. Of course, the championship will be awarded at the Finale Mondiale, which, once again, I remind you, tickets are on sale now, and I urge you to buy one of those. Get down to Imola. It will be an event and a half, Nico.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll finish the European and the other continental and regional series, and then there is the Sunday for the World Finals. Lucio Pagani for Pirelli. Don't forget him, holding the Pirelli trophy.
How can anyone forget Lucio Pagani?
Nobody could.
Top man.
Absolutely.
Great photograph then of our Trofeo Pirelli P123, complete with Lucio Pagani and Tony Villander as well. They escape quickly as Philippe Baron wins the champagne race. And of course, getting absolutely mullered with it, quite rightly, Giacomo Altoe. Go Motorsport Baron Racing Team. Philippe Baron threw everything at it bar the kitchen sink to get by Ben Svalin, who remained P2 right until the checkered flag. But taking the win, and in so doing becoming the Trofeo Pirelli champion for 2024, Giacomo Altoe. In terms of the Drivers' Championship, Giacomo Altoe on 159 points takes the Drivers' Championship. According to this, Ben Svalin has moved up one place and has overtaken Philippe Baron in the Drivers' Championship. So there we have it, the Drivers' Championship in the Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli. What matters most is Giacomo Altoe has done enough to seal the championship with 2 races remaining. Up next, the Pirelli AM podium. Angelo Fontana, a very good P3, as I mentioned, his second podium of the season. Hendrik Viol, well, by taking P2, he's kept his championship hopes very much alive. And another talented young driver, Federico Alrifai, will go to the top step of the podium for Trofeo Pirelli AM. For Rosso Corsa, and here comes the national anthem.
Il nostro applauso, our claps for the winners on the podium, team manager Rosso Corsa near the podium.
And Rosso Corsa represented, of course, on the podium for the Copa Team Award as well.
Ferrari driver ambassador.
Tony making the trophy presentations once again. Tony Villanda, Ferrari ambassador driver. Angelo Fontana receives his trophy. Hendrik Viol receives his. And Federico Alrifai will receive his race winner's trophy. A Copa Team trophy presentation to Rosso Corsa.
And Lucio
Vergani, Pirelli Motorsport manager, making the Pirelli award to Federico Alrifai. So all the drivers huddled together then for the focus of the world's media on our top three in Trofeo Pirelli Am.
Okay, lift your trophy, and now 5 seconds, and
Champagne is going to win this race. I think it was Hendrik, you know. Hendrik Viol did it. Top three then, Rosso Corsa, Angelo Fontana taking P3. Double bobble for Rosso Corsa because they had the winner as well. The Scuderia Prague Racing, it was Hendrik Viol. And on the top step of the podium, Federico Alrifai. So that brings to a conclusion the Trofeo Pirelli racing for the weekend. And in the Drivers' Championship, Klaus Zabranson didn't quite do enough. Hendrik Viol still mathematically possible for him to take the championship. He is P2 with Marco Zanassi P3. So all will be decided in Trofeo Pirelli Am at the World Finals, the Finale Mondiale event at Imola. Rest of the order, as you can see, in terms of Drivers' Championship and how many drivers have competed in Trofeo Pirelli Am over the course of the season has been absolutely brilliant. So there we have it. Next action for Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli Am will come at Imola in a few weeks' time. Very much looking forward to that. But for Trofeo Pirelli racing done and dusted here at the Nürburgring. Been some excellent racing from both the Trofeo Pirelli drivers and the Trofeo Pirelli Am drivers, all of whom have put on a fantastic show for us. And whatever they've done across the course of this weekend at the Nürburgring, all thoughts will now head towards what they can do at Imola in the Finale Mondiale event. So from Tony Vallanda, from myself, and also from Nico Spelek, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye for now.